Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be showcasing the Bigscreen Beyond version 2E. The E standing for eye tracking, which makes a big difference. Yes, it does. Now I'm sorry that some of this footage, I'll put some B-roll in as well, isn't going to look that great. It looks great for me, but it won't look great for you because I'm using dynamic favorited rendering. That's right folks, Bigscreen, they friggin' did it. They actually pulled it off. They put eye tracking and with that DFR in the smallest form factor, lightest Micro OLED VR headset you can buy. And my god, is that an achievement. So let's just look at the unboxing of the Bigscreen Beyond version 2. I've said this many times before folks, but I must admit this is a very desirable looking headset. From the transparent cover, which to be fair I didn't think I would like, but in the flesh it looks fantastic, to the LED light you can customize, just the tiny footprint, shall we say, of this headset is just absolutely striking. We all know this from before, and if you're not sure and you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Where have you been? This is the place for all things VR and flight simulation. The specs of this thing are impressive. It has a 2560 per eye Micro OLED display. That means you get perfect blacks, deep rich colours. It has custom pancake lenses. We're going to talk about that a lot more in a minute. And a fantastic field of view now. I've measured with the facial interface I'm using 110 degrees. That's very, very nice, especially with this type of form factor. Now with this headset, you can see here I've got the optional audio strap. Now the Bigscreen Beyond audio strap I'm a massive fan of, mainly because it has a nice bass. It's actually a lot more comfortable with this strap because it's a hard strap, and I think it finishes off the headset very nicely. So to put that into perspective, you can see here now I'm flying and I'm getting 70 odd frames per second. That's in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, okay, whilst recording in 4K, which the mind boggles with this level of detail. That's just absolutely amazing. I did the same flight in the Bigscreen Beyond version 2, same settings without eye tracking, and I was getting 45 to 50 frames per second, so there is quite a boost. Now as I say, it might look a little bit janky on the screen because basically wherever my eyes are looking has the sharpest image, but of course you're not going to be following my eyes around, so it might look a bit crap on the VR recording, but this is the only way I can really showcase the performance here. Now if we talk about DCS World for example, you can run that at full native resolution, even at 90 frames per second all day long, no problems. But to get this level of performance, even with a 5090, is still incredibly impressive, especially as I say, whilst recording. Look at this folks. Absolutely amazing. I mean, for you it might be a bit grainy, but apologies for that. So the Bigscreen Beyond version 2 has been out now for a while, and I did a full review on the channel, and really, if you think about the specification, especially for people who watch my channel, you might not be that excited anymore because it's got 2.5K per eye. We're now used to 4K per eye displays, okay? I'm going to talk about that in a minute because that's a really, really important point about this headset, okay? But let me tell you, at this point, folks, I admit I'm kind of sick of big, bulky headsets. I have been for quite a while. This absolutely changes the game because it's insanely light. So let's talk about the lenses of the Bigscreen Beyond version 2 because that's another area where there's some good and bad points. The competition is moving on very fast, and don't get me wrong, the Pimax Crystal OLED and the Dream Air, they do have better optics than this, okay? With the concave lenses, I don't know whether it's the edge-to-edge clarity that's better, I don't know, but it just is, the optics do feel better, but this is not far off. I've always said that the Bigscreen Beyond version 2 lenses are fantastic in terms of the edge-to-edge sweet spot. It is really good. I can look around my eyes, no problems at all. I think the main thing that really distinguishes this to some of the competition out there is the glare. There is glare in this headset, and it's stronger than most of the competition. That is the Meganex Superlight 8K and the Dream Air, and of course the Super OLED, which is the same optics as well. That said, when I compare this to the original Beyond 1, it's a huge difference. And actually, in this scene right now, I'm not experiencing any glare at all. So it's not always there, but it is a bit stronger than some of the headsets. It's funny, you know, because I really don't like glare. I hate glare, but I don't find it an issue with the Bigscreen Beyond version 2 anymore. Sometimes it's there, but you appreciate this crazy form factor and now eye tracking. It's just, there's so many other positives to this headset that that little bit of glare doesn't become that important, especially when you're getting 70 frames per second whilst recording, which I can't believe that. Now, I have tried this in a number of different scenes and it doesn't seem to budge. Admittedly, I am using a 5090, but you know what? I am going to test this with a 4090 and 4070 Ti Super as well, because I've got a feeling the performance isn't going to be hugely different. Absolutely remarkable. So I've got to just sort of, you know, reiterate how much of a bigger deal this is that Bigscreen have managed to put eye tracking in this tiny VR headset, and it kind of makes me question what's going on with the Meganex. That should have eye tracking. It really should. I mean, to be fair, it does have a great motion smoothing, you know, and it performs really well anyway, with a range of different CPUs and GPUs. But I personally feel in 2026, a headset, any headset being released, it has to have eye tracking. And this shows it off perfectly here. I'm not going easy, okay? I've got everything dialed up very, very high. I've got LOD at 300, I've got cloud set to high, not ultra, but high. Could probably set them to ultra, actually. I'm in Innsbruck area, and I'm flying this beautiful aircraft. I'm recording as well, and look at the frame rate I'm getting. It's absolutely amazing. So there's a few other things I want to mention as well, because one of my negatives about the Bigscreen Beyond version 2 has been the facial interface. It's a clever idea in theory, and for most people it's fine. I'm just a bit of an oddball on this one, but you know, this is just my opinion. You just take it as you will. But I find the facial interface, the scanned silicon facial interface, which is molded to your face, okay, which is amazing, I don't find it very comfortable on a long session. I find that the silicon cover tends to stick to my face. Well, Bigscreen have actually listened to the feedback, not just of mine, but many other people out there as well, and they've now got a universal facial interface. You can see on the screen now. This is very interesting. There's two different versions actually that I've got, a hard and soft version. With the soft version, I am getting an insane amount of field of view. I'm getting the same 110 degrees. That does feel really nice in the headset. You know, it might even be a bit more than that actually, about 112 degrees in this headset. It's basically maxing out this display because I can get insanely close to those lenses. Here's another great trade-off of that. Now that my eyes are even closer to the lenses, I don't see the glare anywhere near as bad as I did before. And the sweet spot, that's also a lot larger. So I've got to say, hats off to Bigscreen. That new universal facial interface is fantastic. But there's more, because funny enough, when they sent me that, Studioform also sent me their new, well, it's not new anymore, but their facial interface. Now this facial interface has a very nice fabric to it. In fact, there's two different versions. There's a leather and fabric variant, as you can see on the screen now, beautifully made. Also with that you can have a top strap, which really seals the deal for me. That together with the foam on the back of the head strap, this officially is without any shadow of a doubt the most comfortable headset I've ever had the pleasure of wearing. It is unbelievably comfortable. It's incredible. So if you are looking at getting some mods for your Bigscreen Beyond, well, you can either go down the route of the facial interface from Bigscreen, but you know what? I think Studioform have done a better job with their top strap and this facial interface here. I think the only thing I will say is a negative, make sure that it's definitely on quite tight, because otherwise it starts to rise up with the fabric foam. With the leather foam, it actually sticks to your face a lot better. I say stick, not in an uncomfortable way, it just kind of hugs your face better. So with all that in mind, we've got a field of view of 110 degrees, Micro OLED visuals, with fantastic, and I will say this, and a lot of YouTubers out there are now downplaying the resolution of this just because we've got 4K. That's ridiculous in my opinion. This is still plenty sharp enough at 2.5K per eye. We've got eye tracking with DFR support, and I said I'm hoping that will be the case in my Bigscreen Beyond version 2 non-eye tracking review, and now it's here. And we've got immense form factor. There is a lot to like about this headset even in 2026, and I do really like the optics in this. Not to mention the microphone in this, which I think you'll agree sounds fantastic, alongside the audio, which I've taken down a little bit so you can hear my voice, but this Merlin powered Spitfire right now sounds absolutely superb. To be fair, when you really think about it, and the fact that this headset is a lot more accessible to a full range of GPUs out there, whether it's a 3070 Ti, which this will run, 4070, and obviously the 50 series cards, which I'm rocking today. I'm not entirely sure if this is compatible with AMD. I'll let you know on the screen now because I can't remember. But in any case, this is, in my opinion, the sensible option for a lot of people out there. The trouble is, a lot of people are going to get on this 4K Micro OLED train and not realise that you need to push a lot of pixels. About 29 million of them. And ideally you do need a 5090 to push those pixels. You don't need a 5090 with this, folks. I know I'm showing it off today because that's my main computer, but you really don't need a 5090 to enjoy this headset. Let's now talk about something else, brightness. This is where, in my opinion, the headset does fall down the most, actually. When I'm used to the Megan X and Dream Air and Super OLED and of course the QLED panels, this headset is not as bright. Well, it can be if you overdrive it, but the trouble is you will listen, that fan, it just goes whappy and it's very loud in the headset, and you do get a lot more persistence issues. So I tend to leave this at 100% brightness with the fan at around 80%. It is on the dimmer side though, there's no doubt about it, and if you want really bright visuals, then well, maybe Micro OLED isn't for you in the first place and go for QLED or LCD. But you know what, you're missing out, folks, because when you do this, okay, now we're cooking. I mean, again, sorry for the DFR, I've got it on quite aggressive at the moment, but this is completely pitch black for me. Absolutely incredible visuals. Unbelievable. I can't say enough about the blacks in this. They are friggin', without swearing, just absolutely sensational. They really are. Superb. Anyway, let's go back to daytime again. But yeah, in terms of black levels, it's absolutely epic. So you can see I've got the FPS counter on. I'm using DCS 4.5 with preset M, I think it is, and very, very sharp indeed. But let's now try TAA mode and see what happens. And I'll just pull the rendering up a little bit because I know it's probably going to look a bit grainy for you, but for me, this is something that I'm really shocked by. Bigscreen were very particular about their eye tracking, and they wasn't going to release DFR until they really knew it was going to work. And even now, it's in beta, and they're not quite happy with it. But in my opinion, it's working really well. Really, really well. So, This is my point, folks. With a 5090, it hasn't made any difference to the performance. I've now changed from DLSS 4.5 to full native resolution. I'm still getting 70 odd frames per second whilst recording. Pretty frigging awesome. I just wanted to show you that because I reckon you thought that the FPS were going to bog down, you know, but no, they're still really, really high, and I find that absolutely amazing. That is thanks to the grunt, the brute force of the 5090, but honestly, I do feel that even with a 40 series card, you're going to get fantastic performance because of the eye tracking now in this. It's funny because when I was going to try this for the first time, I wasn't that excited, if I'm honest, because I'm so used to 4K now with the Mega NX and the Super OLED. But now that I'm flying in the Bigscreen Beyond again, with this level of comfort, with eye tracking, I can really see that, pardon the pun, these visuals, there's nothing wrong with them at all. They look fabulous. And for a lot of people out there, this makes sense, especially if you don't have a crazy high-spec PC. And if you do, even better, because, you know, I think running a Bigscreen Beyond 2.5K per eye with a 5090 like this is genius, because you're going to really appreciate the performance. Performance is everything in VR, folks, and at the moment with the resolution wars out there, you know, it's all about the highest PPD level and crazy 6,000 per eye resolutions. It is getting a bit ridiculous, and this, you get the best of both worlds: Micro OLED, sharp visuals, and great performance. Now there's something else I want to talk about which is, I think, really exciting about the software of the eye tracking with the Bigscreen Beyond utility. It has its own quad views settings, so feasibly, I haven't tried this yet, but feasibly I could super sample the foveated region that I'm looking at to perhaps 200%. And I know what this looks like at 200% because I've already done a video, and it looks really sharp at that point. You're talking very, very sharp visuals. So you could benefit even more with super sampling that small region. You can change the ring size and then leaving everything out at sort of lower resolution. You can even make the ring softer or more pronounced. So there's a lot of flexibility and customization with the DFR. They've done a great job here. Honestly, I was not expecting it to be this good. I will actually say that I think the eye tracking works quicker than the Pimax Crystal OLED, because there are times when I will look left and right or slightly gaze somewhere and I'll just see the eye tracking catch up with the Pimax. But with this, I have not experienced that once. Wherever I look, it works perfectly. Now I find that quite remarkable how well it's working when you consider the eye tracking is still in beta and you have to enroll, and it's actually quite a fun little process. You have to move and tilt your head whilst looking at a dot, a bit like normal eye tracking but a lot more thorough. Then it basically, you send that off and it comes back. Mine, I think it took about 10 minutes, and then it has like a model for your eyes, which, well, clearly it works really well because I'm not getting any issues with the eye tracking at all. To think I'm using this as well in MSFS 2024, which, let's be honest, is poorly optimized. I think I need to try this with DCS World as well. I'll do a video of that at some point, and maybe I'll super sample the DFR region as well. I think that's going to look fantastic. So let's just recap. The Bigscreen Beyond version 2 is better than ever before because I'm getting fantastic field of view, really great comfort, especially with the Studio Form kit, which I do have a discount for, I think. Do check the link in the description below for that. Also, the eye tracking means I'm getting way better performance now than ever before. This simply beats the pants off any performance I'm getting from any other headset, especially this level of resolution. And the optics I find are really good, especially the distortion profile, which is the best in the business. There's no warping in this at all, and because I can get closer to those lenses thanks to the facial interface, both of the universal interface you can get for big screen, but also this one I'm using, the Studio Form kit, there is a lot to like. Negatives. Let's talk about a few negatives before we end the video. There is glare in this headset. I haven't seen any glare in anything I've done in this video, but there is glare there, depending on the scene you're using. Also, let's have a look. What else is there in terms of negatives? I guess you could say that the resolution is a negative, but I don't think it is. Of course, it doesn't compete against the high resolution of the Mega NX and Dream Air and Super OLED. They do look better than this, and they're brighter. But those trade-offs, well, you're getting a headset that's going to perform a lot better with a variety of different PC systems. Look at this, 70 frames per second, guys. What's more important to you? I think that's something you need to ask yourself. High resolution, like insanely high resolution and brighter colours, but a lot lower performance, or still very, very sharp visuals, Micro OLED technology, not quite as sharp visuals, lower brightness, but this, 70 odd frames per second whilst recording. That is something you will have to ask yourself. The competition is moving forward very quickly, and compared to the likes of the Crystal and Mega NX, you can tell the resolution is not as good. But is it really that much worse? No, it isn't. It really isn't. And as I look at the sky here, it's got one of the most exciting things as a flight simmer that I love about Micro OLED, you know, regardless of black levels and all that, is zero mirror. This is a super clean display, and I will say this is a cleaner display than the Mega NX, because I have noticed with my Mark II, interestingly, I didn't see this with my Mark I, but with my Mark II, and I've tested 3 different versions, there is a little bit of either a filter or mirror or something in that display as you look at the clouds. With the Bigscreen Beyond version 2, there's just nothing. It is perfect. And I don't see any screen door in this. I really don't, you know. The texture to that panel is not quite as crispy as the Crystal OLED, but we are splitting hairs here in my opinion, and I do personally feel that resolution is getting to the point where it's getting a bit silly. You know, I mean, I love high resolution, don't get me wrong, I love 4K, it is very, very nice, but you need a lot to drive that. With the Bigscreen Beyond version 2, you still have 2.5K per eye, which I think is plenty, and it's a very good balance. I think that's actually the sweet spot in 2026, 2.5K per eye, with say a 5070 Ti or 4090, something along those lines. You're going to get really good performance. And that's it, folks. I think that will do. For me, I friggin' love this headset. In fact, this has surprised me. I think that this is a very good option for a lot of you out there. What do you think, folks? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to support the channel and you found my content really helpful, I do have an affiliate link for the Beyond 2 in the description below. Feel free to use it. You don't have to. It makes no difference to my feelings about this headset. Honestly, I am truly impressed with this headset. Now it has eye tracking, it's giving it a new lease of life, and it's making other headsets out there, such as the Mega NX, look a bit silly for not having eye tracking, especially in 2026. What do you think? Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now.